It's a Thursday edition of the Burning Issue here on the Happy World of 5 FM radio on 89.9 and the surrounding areas. And remember that later in the course of the program, I will give you, our listener, an opportunity to call in and interact with our guest. And also remember, we are live on our Facebook page. That's 5FM Radio Zambia. Other than that, we are live also on our partner radio stations. Remember, we are live on Katete FM on 103.3, covering the entire Eastern Province, literally. And also live in Kabwe and Central Province on Spice FM on 91.1. And ZFM as well in Kapiri on 100.3 FM. Muchinga Radio is as well tuned in Chinsali, covering obviously the entire Muchinga province on 88.1 FM. Tuta FM in Mansa and covering Wapula province on 90.7 FM. And on the Copper Belt, we are well catered for. We are live on Platinum Radio in Ndola on 99.7 and iWave FM Radio on 90.1 in Chingola. Remember that our YouTube channel is also active and it's live, and that's 5FM Radio Zambia. So look out for it, and we'll be glad to also get your feedback, especially on our Facebook page as well. Please send us a comment. First of all, share the page, leave us a comment or a question for our guest, and we'll be glad to read them. I'm your host, Zachariah Banda. Now, our guest today is Mr. Ackim Antony Njobvu. He is the president of the Democratic Union, and this is definitely a political party. And sounds new to you? Well, obviously yes, but we'll be finding out more about the political party and the leader of the party. Mr. Njobvu, welcome to the program. It's a pleasure to have you here on the Burning Issue. I know it's the first time we are hosting you, but we are delighted to have you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity, and greetings to you, Mr. Banda, and greetings to our listeners and viewers on the social media platforms.
Great. So, considering the fact that your voice is new probably to our listeners on this particular platform,
yes,
we would like to, first of all, find out about yourself. Just give us a brief background, when you were born, where from, and even your education background, if you don't mind. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. So I'm Ackim Antony Njobvu. I'm the vision carrier of the Democratic Union. I was born in Livingstone. I did my primary school at Zambezi Primary School in Livingstone. Then my mother died in 1993. We moved to Chipata, where I went and finished my secondary at Hillside Day Secondary School. And from there, immediately I finished my secondary school. I had an opportunity. I joined the Air Force. I became a flight engineer ultimately after my service in the Air Force. So I'm a flight engineer. I used to work on the presidential squadron because I was one of the best students.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was invited to work on the presidential aircraft. Then after some time, I started studying SCCA. I finished, and then I'm a qualified chartered accountant. I'm a fellow of SCCA.
Okay.
Then I went into the private sector. I worked for a company where I was working at Mayfair as a finance manager stroke company secretary. Then there another opportunity came from me. I joined the world's leading my insurance broking company, which is Marsh. I was the chief financial officer there. So in terms of other qualifications, I said I'm a flight engineer, I'm a chartered accountant, I'm also an economist, I'm also a global investment analyst, as well as an insurance practitioner. So I'm well-grounded in terms of education. I'm also a man of faith.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Important.
Yeah. So we've got this vision for Zambia, I think, through the Democratic Union. So that's about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, when did it kick in terms of getting into the political arena?
The political landscape.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of the dream itself, I think the dream started, 12 to 13 years ago.
Okay.
But then the process of registering a political party started in January 2024. So we had the issues with getting the registration. There were suspicions here and there. You know, when somebody's new,
Absolutely,
people wonder, what is it that is happening? We've never heard you talk about politics, never you criticize anyone.
Yeah.
So I think there were those suspicions until 10 months down the line, we managed to get our certificate of registration on 14th of October 2024.
Do you see that as probably a normal process?
It wasn't a normal process. I think the process usually should take, within 3 months, one's supposed to get their certificate of registration. Yeah, but we don't know exactly what they were afraid of. But finally, we managed to get our registration. Of course, it was quite frustrating, but later on you realize that it's part of the process.
Yeah.
And maybe to get you
Yeah.
together into the new system.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then a month later, 2 months later, we launched the party on 4th of December 2024. And after a month later, again, we managed to participate in by-elections in Pambashe and in Petauke.
And how did you fare?
Yeah, we did so well in Pambashe. We came out third. Then in Petauke, we didn't do so well because Donse got our candidate. The same candidate who won was, was part of our team. But because of their financial muscle, they managed to snatch them from us. So we were excited and happy that we managed to participate in by-elections and did so well. I think for us, I think it was a message, I think that seems to be resonating well with the people.
Absolutely.
So that gave us a drive to push on. So I think right now we are even participating in local government elections in the Northern and Luapula province.
Interesting.
Yes.
Why the name?
Democratic Union.
Yeah.
Of course, we are a union, so we want to bring all Zambians together. For me, I'm looking at a party that is not biased, a party that wants to bring to build a new Zambia. So when we are looking at building a new Zambia, you want everyone to participate. So we want people who are even those in UPND should come and join Democratic Union. Those who in other political parties should come and join a union. You know what a union means. It covers everyone. This party does not belong to a family, does not belong to an individual. It belongs to the Zambians. So we welcome everyone from every corner of this country to be part of this development agenda. Because what we have before us is a mammoth task to transform this country. It's not an easy task, and that much I'm aware of. There's a lot that needs to be done in this country, and it requires everyone's involvement, the young, the old, each and every citizen. As long as you've got a positive attitude, then you need to be part of this vehicle. Yes.
Break it down for us what your vision is for this country.
So for me, the ultimate vision, if I look at Zambia in so many years to come, first of all, I'm looking at a country that I think the means of production to be in the hands of Zambians. I've had the blessing of working for two multinational companies. I've acquired certain things. I think for me, it wasn't even working. It was learning from these multinational companies. But ultimately, I'm looking at Zambia where the means of production are in the hands of the Zambians. Then I also want to see that after a certain period or in our tenure, if God gives us that opportunity, we should have this country, all the 10 provinces connected by rail. Because for me, I believe if we have to tackle the cost of living issue seriously, it ultimately has to be grounded on the 10 provinces being connected by rail. That means we reduce the cost of distribution, the cost of transportation, and just the efficiency within the system. I want a situation where if I want, I can go and stay in Luango or in Kawe, but come and work here in Lusaka. I think that would be a good thing for me, and that's my vision. Then I'm also looking forward to a time where we have all the 10 provinces being energy efficient, self-sufficient, where they're able to have their own sources of energy and they're able to attract their own investment in all these provinces. This is what I'm looking forward to. But how are we going to achieve all these things? For us as the Democratic Union, first of all, we are a party, I think, that wants to bring a new era of politics in this country, one which prioritizes integrity, transparency, and accountability. We're also looking at a country where opportunities should be available for everyone, not only select few, but also want to provide that alternative option where those who do not like the ordinary politics of insults, bitterness, anger, revenge can find a home in Democratic Union, use it as a vehicle for development. So, but how are we, since we're being so ambitious, how are we going to bring about this transformation? We are going to create what we are calling strategic cooperations, which we are going to set up in 4 key areas of our economy. That is in agriculture, in mining, in engineering and construction, as well as technology and innovation. So once we have set up these vehicles, then we are going to use them now to transform this country. I believe the model that we want to adopt in terms of the economy is a mixed type economic model, where we believe the private sector should be there to provide development in its own area. The government will also come in to do business. Why am I doing this? I think others have asked me to say, but don't you think there's a bit of conflict? I said, no, I'm also ultimately looking at helping the private sector and the citizens of this country. You see, in this country, the private businesses are struggling to thrive because the government doesn't have any source of revenue. It's coming hard on the private businesses in high taxes. Even just the cost of doing business is high because the government's only source of income is on the taxes that it levies on the private sector. Even the citizens, I was working as a chief financial officer. You find that 37% of your salary is going away as tax. I think it's a bit painful. I think it's quite high. Yes, others have said in other countries they're more similar, but I don't believe in copying things from other countries. We need to start developing in domestic grown economic models where we are able to help our people. Most of the times we've been telling our citizens, invest, save, but you find that what they are getting, it's a bit difficult to make a saving, especially in areas like Lusaka, where you find what you get, half of it goes to the government as tax, then the other half, are you going to manage to make a saving from there? So we need to start changing and building our own domestically grown development models so that we transform this country. If we want to compare ourselves, I say Zambia is endowed differently. We've got a lot of natural resources. Therefore, we must begin to think and act differently, not just copying everything that you hear that because this is working this side. What about our own models? This is what we need to do. So that's why we are developing these strategic operations so that they give the government that opportunity to build its resource envelope. When they build that resource envelope, it will give room for them to say, okay, now we can reduce the taxes on the private sector. We give them room to grow so that they create more employment opportunities as they are growing. We can also consider to put more money in the pocket for the civil servant by reducing the taxes. But that cannot happen. We need to talk about practical things. It can only happen if the government finds another source of revenue. And that other source of revenue needs to come from this strategic operation. Yes.
Interesting. How frustrating is it that with all your good ideas, but yet these are ideas that even politicians that have been into government prior to getting into government, they sold such ideas and they never came to fruition. And you have a citizenry today that doesn't trust ideas that they've had before. And because politicians, once they get into government, they seem to have a whole different idea of how to do things. It must be frustrating for you right now that some of these ideas have been floated before and citizens have never seen them happen or implemented.
No, you see the first challenge that I'll tell you. Okay, before I tell you what is on me. I had an opportunity to have a discussion with one foreign dignitary.
Okay.
So when I explained to him my vision, I was very happy, especially with what we want to do for the women and the youth. Then he told me, Ackim, you see, the challenge you have in this country is that your people do not vote on ideas. They vote on the noise. So I laughed. I said, okay, they vote on the noise. They don't like ideas. So we laughed. But what I want to tell you is that, you see, we've got two different types of people and two different types of politicians. I come with a vision that is in my heart and in my mind. I carry it. Others have hired professionals to write manifestos for them. When they come and tell you, it's somebody who wrote something for them. So it's a bit different. If you give such a person even the opportunity to be president, it's not in his heart, it's not in his mind. He's got something different in his heart and in his mind. He would start doing his own things. But I believe a person like me who carries this vision in my heart and it's in my mind, and the love that I have for this country, I should be able to roll it out. Yes, there are other impediments that come, I think, from some of them from powerful multinationals, some of them from these developed economies. But we always have to find a way. From where I come from in the military, we always says, whatever challenge that you face, you have to find another route to do what you want to achieve. So for me, yes, I've heard about this, but I believe others' manifesto is somebody, Akulembera Chabe manifesto, India manifesto, and a very nice manifesto. Go and implement it. You won't implement it. It's not in your heart. It's not in your mind. You don't carry it. It's something that you do not carry. It's something that is not part of you. You can never achieve it. You can never implement it. It's very difficult. So these are the politicians that you've been seeing. Some of them who just come and tell you good things, but they do not have that vision. You see, these are the challenges that we are facing even now. Who was the vision carrier of the UPND? It was Anderson Mazoka. He died. Others found an opportunity. Says, oh, now I can be a president. It's not in your heart. How can you implement something that is not in your heart? It's a bit difficult. So these are the questions that you've been having to say, how come politicians change? They don't change. They just review who they are. that they never had those things within them. Yes.
Let me take you sector by sector in
Yes.
terms of just wanting to understand what your vision is.
Yes.
Let's start with mining. I think that there's a lot of talk around the fact that we are a country endowed with a lot of natural resources, minerals, to be precise. But then a lot has been talked about. We always surrender the resources to the foreigners to explore, and and so on. But what is your vision in that sector?
Okay, thank you. So you see, there's quite a lot that happens, and I think it comes from the betrayal and lack of patriotism of leaders. Recently, we had that SI 47, which allowed the mining houses to export copper concentrates without paying export tax. So we lost out. So I think there's also an aspect of identifying leaders that really love the country. But if we talk about the mining, the vision of the Democratic Union is, like I mentioned earlier, that I want to see ultimately where the Zambians begin to own these mining houses. For me, I'm even disappointed that you Zambians were even excited when the president said we have to start mining 3 million metric tons of copper by 2030. I was not among you, the Zambians were excited. Why was I not excited? You see, we do not own these mines. We do not own anything sensible. Why should we so be ambitious to harvest a lot of these minerals and give other countries to develop when we don't own anything? We are all aware that most of the resources that come from there, they end up outside the country. But you Zambians are excited that, yes, we are going to have 3 million metric tons. You, every time you're even advocating for that, I am not happy. So first, what we need to do, if you look at what I said, we are looking at 4 strategic areas of our economy. Mining is one of them. What we are going to do is we are going to set up what we are calling the Natural Resources Corporation. So this Natural Resources Corporation is a vehicle that we want to use now to grow the resource envelope of the government for revenue mobilization. So what is going to happen is we are targeting at opening public mines in all the 10 provinces. We want at least a minimum of 3 mines in these provinces. And our focus, of course, for a start, is that we won't focus on the capital-intensive copper mining. We are looking at precious metals, precious minerals. We're looking at gold, diamonds, sugilites, and these other ones which the government can easily go in without having to invest a lot. So when we do that, what is the ultimate desire? The ultimate desire is I'm also looking at development. I don't want development to be in Lusaka and Copperbelt only. I want all the 10 provinces to see to receive that development that we're talking about. In Enchokera Eastern Province, Kuribe Public University. You see, we always have to come to Lusaka to come and seek education. We want universities to be there. We want hospitals, good hospitals to be in these places. So what we are going to do when we set up these public mines, we are also going to introduce what we are calling the Chiefdom Development Fund. So this Chiefdom Development Fund is a vehicle that we are going to use for development. So the first step that we're going to do, we are going to introduce a levy, which we are calling the Chiefdom Development Levy. So that levy, we are going to start with a 2.5%. This levy will be levied on both public and private mines in those provinces. So when that levy is collected on the turnover of those minerals, it remains in the province. When it remains in the province, there are these committees that are going to supervise the spending of that money. So the way we structured is that 1% of that levy will go towards development projects within the province or the chiefdom. Then we've got a 0.25%, which goes to NIMA for medical services in that province. I'm sure you are aware that NIMA is having challenges. You heard recently they're even failing to pay. So we are looking at improving health services in the country. And also we are looking at improving primary health care in the communities. We want to work more on preventive than the other side, where you start responding to sicknesses, which becomes expensive. So we've got a certain portion that must go to NIMA to help with medical service delivery. Then we are also going to create a pension scheme for our elders in the rural areas. So ultimately, we want to do away with social caste transfer. It's also a vehicle for corruption, especially having participated in by-election. I've seen what goes on actually in these elections and in the governors. So we want us to introduce a pension for our parents in the rural areas so that we can do away with social caste transfer and also just align with the Bank of Zambia. The Bank of Zambia has been preaching that we want a cashless economy, which means the government cannot be going against itself. I expect when the central government issues a position, all other government institutions should follow and implement that. But there's lack of consistency, especially in this government. So we need to start building on systems that are going to help government achieve its ambition. So when we do that, we want to do away with social caste transfer. Then we want these people to be assured of a pension every month. Because social caste transfer, at times the people go with 3 months without receiving it, 2 months without receiving it. And we want a situation where if you are going to be paid the 600, the full 600 should come to your account, your mobile money account. Not a situation where somebody brings cash, then he says, Akpasa 400, at your support 200. Or maybe you are even compelled to give them something. We don't want that. So we want to improve on that. Then we also want another 0.25% to go towards the recruitment of our youths into national service. Why are we giving that portion? Because there's an ambitious project or ambitious plan for the Democratic Union. We've got 2 institutions that need to be fed from recruiting youth into ZNS. There's the National Agriculture and Food Corporation and the National Engineering and Construction Corporation. So it will be getting its resource from ZNS. So the way we've structured this is that 0.25% will just be fixed for training. Training youths, they are going to ZNS, training them and deploying them in these institutions. So the way we've structured also the employment in this, when we are talking about the cost of living, it affects 2 types of people, the educated and the uneducated, who can call the uneducated. But then if you are coming up with solutions, you need to make sure that you're attending to both groups. There are others who've dropped in grade 2, grade 5, grade 10 because of different reasons. So what we are saying, we need to get these people, train them, and take them to this corporation, which we are calling the National Engineering and Construction Corporation. That construction part, even those who have not finished school can still implement in helping in building roads, wapangama drainage, and the like. So that portion is for training. Then we've got another 0.25%, which will go to each youth provincial office. Youth provincial office, what are we trying to correct? The youth, our memkambati majunkie, our mleranda tama junkies. We want to make sure that we help them. I'm also a young person. I need to find solutions for what on these challenges that the youths are facing. So when we send it to the youth provincial office, we need to task them to start building academies and other recreation facilities that are going to help keep our youths very busy, not to be found looming about because they've got nothing to do. And especially now that we are blessed, we've got the Barbara Bandas, the Kundananjis who are playing international soccer there and other sporting issues outside. We've got the US, Europe, Asia, and what? We've got a market. Why can't we capitalize on that? Help our youths, train them in these academies, and again, send them away so that then we can start getting Forex. So that's what we want to do. But what interests me the most is now this, there's that 0.5%, which we want to channel to research and development. I want a lot of research in this country to be implemented. I will be quick to mention that you remember some time back, there was that gentleman, I don't know, it's at Notec or CBU, he made a vehicle. That story has just died. You see, so we don't want ideas like that one to just die. So we are going to allocate that 0.5% to go towards research and development. I know for sure areas like Katete, Mukushi, they're very cold. We need to do research and see what type of citrus fruits we can start growing from there. Today, Kakushita import everything from South Africa. We need to start growing some of these things in the country. So this is a type of investment that I want, especially when you hear me calling the youths into Democratic Union. It's the innovation that they carry that I want. And that's what we want to do as Democratic Union. And then on top of that, talking about the research, although I'll talk about the National Technology and Innovation, we are going to introduce another office in government called the Innovator General. This Innovator General is somebody who will be responsible for harnessing these innovations and talent in the community, making sure that it's followed up. A few weeks ago, we had a young lady, I think in the Eastern Province, who made fertilizer from sunflower. So you see, such types of innovation needs to be picked up and then developed. We talk about that guy who made a vehicle. We are now saying we've got a lot of minerals that we can use in electric cars. But what are we doing with that? We are calling foreign investors to come and invest so that they get whatever, then they go. We are not considering the development of this country. So in the mining sector, when we set up this is now for the government. And then ultimately for the citizens of this country, there's what we are going to create, which we are calling the Mining Investment Agency. So this Mining Investment Agency has got one ambition. We want to build our own homegrown billionaires in this country. I'm sure you are aware that the Elon Musk, the Bill Gates, those are state-built billionaires. We want to have our own. We know there are quite a lot of Zambians who are engaged in mining, but the government needs to come up with a deliberate plan to help them, to build them. for us, when we set up this, of course, we are going to create these mining blocks where we are going to give them, this is where we are mining. I am against this mining that goes on where they go and encroach on other mining houses, the premises. I don't support that. So we need to create their own green fields where the government comes in with support. They can come and support them with equipment, with training, and find a way of helping, getting good market. We won't say everything should be sold into Bank of Zambia. No, we want also these people, because it's a deliberate plan to build them. We need to find them even an international market outside the country. A certain portion can be sold locally, a certain portion has to be sold outside. Because when they sell locally, they don't even make a lot of money. So we need to find a way of helping them and growing them. So that's what we need to do. We support these people, then we also find them a market, we give them equipment. That's what needs to be done. Ultimately, we need to find to grow our own billionaires. I want a situation if we have got a drought, I just call one or two of three of them. I say the country has got a problem. One will say, I will buy maize for 3 provinces. The other one will buy 3 maize for 3 provinces. The country cannot continue to suffer because we've created strategies and we empowered our own citizens to help us out. I'm sure you'll see how these people do help in their own countries. Even outside the country, they do support them. So that's our ambition. We need to grow our own billionaires in this country. That's a deliberate plan.
All that you're saying has to thrive on energy. Right now,
of course,
it's a big crisis
yes,
on this country.
So,
and what is your plan on obviously sustaining all that you have planned?
Yes,
in terms of using energy.
Yes, so of course, when we look at energy is a big problem right now, and that's the reason why UPND will be kicked out next year. So when we talk about energy sufficiency, we really need to invest a lot in energy. I know there's the country. I don't know whether they didn't have plans or we've not done well in investing in energy. But ultimately, the Democratic Union, what we seek to do in the short term, we want to build natural gas power stations that are going to help us outfight this load shedding. Then in the longer term, we are looking at nuclear energy. The good thing about nuclear energy, it's clean energy. Then it's also cheaper. It's cheaper than hydro, by the way. So when we invest in that, then I think we should be able to be energy sufficient and be able to even export. You see, the good thing about Zambia's positioning in the region is that we are a land-linked country. It means we've got a lot of market for anything that we can produce in this country. So us as citizens, as a country, we need to reposition ourselves in everything that we do. We need to focus on exporting. We need to take everything that we do as a business venture so that we produce enough for ourselves and be able to export. So in terms of electric, because for me, I'm not really a lover of this solar that you usually talk about and which you are happy about. So even when we have got these projects, you see, we were excited about Chisamba project, what. I was asking, but yes, this is a good thing. I'm also happy. But tell me, how many hours of load shedding I think will be added to this? What is the improvement? What is the positive aspect of this thing in the community in Chisamba? Nothing has been said up to now. Load shedding again, now we are told we are going back to 5 hours. So there's no that really improvement. We're talking about all these things, but what is the impact on the citizens? We need an impact that the citizens are going to appreciate. I was expecting by now that yes, by these solar projects that we've talked value to or have added to our national grid and reduce the hours of load shedding. But up now, there's nothing. But again, solar energy is not very stable. It's not also able to drive certain turbines in certain industries. So we need, for lack of a better term, hard energy. So when we talk about hard energy, we need to invest in other sources of energy supply. Yes.
And you did make mention of using gas as in the short term, as a short term measure.
Yes.
Just explain how that works.
There's a natural gas which can be used to produce electricity. Yes, you've got, I think, in other developed countries where, and I'm happy right now, I think most African countries are discovering natural gas. So that same natural gas, you build the power stations, which use the way the Mamba one uses coal. There are others which use natural gas. So you use that natural gas and be able to generate electricity. Because you see, yes, quite all right if we talk about solar. Solar, yes, seems to be an option, but it doesn't give us that amount of output that we need really to distribute across the country.
Yeah.
If we have a project, why can't we invest maybe just in one project that is able to produce maybe 600 or 1,000 megawatts of electricity? Then I think we would have made enough progress. But if you talk about 50, 100, it seems we are still a long way to go to be able to cover the deficit. And especially that when you have leaders who are not honest, who are not transparent, they begin to give you reasons that I think are not true. Like we said that the Kariba Dam is not yet full, but in Zimbabwe, then they are saying, oh, the Kariba Dam is full. We are going to have only load shedding only 2 or 3 hours. But here in Zambia, it's not full, but we're using the same Kariba Dam. And when they distribute water, they give us the same quantities. So we need, first of all, to have good leaders. That's when we are going to.
So in terms of natural gas,
yeah,
because look, people are desperate, and when they hear that you have a short-term solution, they want to get the details of it. First of all, the availability of the gas. I mean, it must be available for you to quickly implement. Tell us about the availability of that.
Okay, so availability, the plan has to be, ultimately we need to also to start exploring for natural gas. One other thing that we are going to do,
that doesn't sound like it is a short-term solution, because exploring itself is going to take forever.
Yes, it is. But you see, we need to start using things that are able to help us in the short term. There's natural gas in Namibia. There's natural gas in Mozambique. So we can build this plant strategically in Western Province. We can build strategically in Eastern Province. They'll be able to start generating. Yes. So when we talk about short term, of course, it's not 6 months, it's not 1 year. Maybe the minimum can be 1 year, 6 months, 2 years. So, but we are looking at curing a problem. I think that has been a bother for us for a long time. For now, for homes, you can still continue using your solar. But we are looking at also, if we want to transform, we need to have a lot of energy in this country. And for me, I think that's the quickest way of doing things, of actually sorting out this problem. Yes, we've done solar so many times. I think it doesn't yield what it needs to yield. When you look at our solar systems at home, when the sun is, you find that they start dimming some of the lights. They don't give out the power that we need to get from there. So when we talk about solar or gas, it's something that is available right now. But I'm sure once you see, in the past, we used to say we don't have diamonds, we don't have gold. But we are now aware that these things are there. So I believe that otherwise they are available in Namibia. They have got natural gas. In Mozambique, they have got natural gas. So these factories and everything, like for example, the Mamba, you will build it at a place which is called these stations. We need to plan them to the source of supply of this source. So that's what it needs to happen.
So get into office. Give me your 5-year plan in terms of, first of all, I understand your short term could be 1 year, 6 to 2 years.
Yes.
But give me another source, which you obviously mentioned, nuclear power.
Nuclear power is not short term. That one is long term.
But how do you intend to implement that?
To implement that?
If it's long term, I know it's long term, but on the other hand, you say it's cheaper.
Yeah. Yes, of course. Now we are looking at, as a country, we need to start thinking about so many years of development, planning 50 years or so. But the process has to start with somebody who make sure that we start the process. I'm sure the PF had started the process, but I gathered information that it wasn't even anywhere near close. I think it was just at the level of doing the trainings. So we need to build on from that and be able to ensure that we leave something running in the process that us or somebody else who comes after us are able to come and conclude. But for me, I would want also to make sure that if these natural gas stations can be built in maybe 4 or maybe later on even in all the 10 strategic areas, then that would be good for me.
If the PF had started this process, don't you think we would have made significant progress? Because I know of individuals that actually the PF government took for training in Russia, and they are qualified and they are sitting, they have no jobs right now.
So you see the challenge that is there in this country. When we have got leaders who are filled with bitterness, anger, and revenge, they're a danger to this country. Why am I saying that? When we get into power, I can't come and say, because this project was started by UPND, I want to continue. Because this project was started by PF or MMD, I can't continue. We need to continue all good projects. Anything that fits in our manifesto must be continued. We need to continue where others have left. But if we think that we will always start something new and leaving what others have started, then I think our idea, our vision is misplaced. You need to build on. That's how the countries develop. Successful governments need to build on from where others have left. So if we're talking about nuclear, of course, we need to say, okay, where did the PFC project start? So when we look at it, we say, oh, it's stored at this stage. How can we progress this project and then implement it? But of course, we know load shedding is a huge challenge. But you must be aware of one thing. Have you noticed that when we've got the president's national address, the war can't trust power? So certain things I think have to do with, that's why I've always repeated this phrase, talking about honesty and the people who love the country. Because there is a lot of appetite to sell, disadvantaging the country's growth and wanting to profit from that export. So we need also just management again. That's what is also needed. I think several times there have been concerns from several sectors to say, why are you exporting a lot of power when we also need this power? A lot of SMEs, small businesses are closing down. They are struggling to operate because they don't have enough power. So the issue sometimes is not even the issue of maintenance. It's not the issue of water not being enough, but it's because there are people who are profiting from selling power. So that's why we are in this situation. So we have to understand two things that have to be done. We have to manage the energy issue in the country to say, where do we prioritize our investment? Is it just making profits? Is it building our own economy and building the SME sector? So what are we going to prioritize? So that's one of the things that you need to be aware of. Yeah.
What is your agriculture policy as a party, Democratic Union?
Okay, so as a party, I've talked about the 4 strategic operations. Yeah. So we're going to set up the National Food and Agriculture Corporation, NAFAC. So the primary mandate of this corporation is to ensure national food security. So first of all, we are going to set up commercial farms in all the districts in this country.
As government?
Yes, as government. Then once we set up those commercial farms, we'll make sure that they begin to produce maize in quantities.
And these exist already, no?
Yes, some, but not all the areas. Or if they do, if they are, I know ZNS has got quite a number of farms, but most of them are not really productive. So we need a lot of investment within that area. Once we invest, they begin to produce maize. And if we talk about the irrigation agenda, I want a situation whereby there's this cooperation, like the one I've told you, the National Engineering Consortium. One of its mandates to be able to provide irrigation development in the government farms, as well as the rural farms, as well as other people who want irrigation development. So we want a situation where if we talk about the irrigation, we shouldn't talk about irrigation only when we have a drought. We have to have a definite plan that we're going to roll out. So when we talk about setting up commercial farms in all the districts, we want to make sure that we have food security, enough food security, 2 to 3 years cover. Then from there, once we have that cover, then we can begin exporting maize. But what we need to do is also to make sure that these commercial farms, once government builds them, they need to be self-sustaining going forward. So they need to identify cash crops that they are going to grow to be able to be self-sustaining in the longer term. What we want to do ultimately is to liberalize the agriculture sector, so that people are able to export freely. Because most of the time, this time around, it's just the commercial farms. These will enter into forward contracts with people from outside. I'm going to plant so much maize, then you buy it like that. So we want agriculture to be a business. When it's a business, you'll be motivated to engage in agriculture. You know, agriculture is one of the complicated business activities. Very complicated in that you, Mr. Banda, can produce a 50 kg bag of maize at 200. But me, I can produce mine at 300. And when you put the floor price at 330, you find that you are able to make a small profit. I won't be able to make a profit. So we want somebody to sell at a profit so that then they are encouraged. And how can they sell at a profit? If we put a floor price of 330, if you see that when you sell to National Food and Agriculture Corporation, you want to make a profit, be at liberty to sell anywhere so that you make a profit. Then that way you'll be able to sustain your business or your activity. So that's what we intend to do with agriculture. Then we also want to go a step further. What we want to do is we also want the prison service to expand on its agriculture activities by having a presence in all the 10 provinces. And what we want to do is to make sure that those low-level offenders, the prisoners, we release them 90 days early before the expiry of their term. They go into the farms, work for 60 days, then the other 30 days is given back to them. So this is what we intend to do with the agriculture sector. Then in the longer term, through another financial initiative, which we are calling the Capital Economic Zone, we want to mobilize resources now for the manufacturing and the manufacturing sector, where we can start building processing plants for our raw materials in the mining sector as well as in agriculture. So I think one of the challenges that has been there, you see, we've had this vision as a country. I'm sure you've heard about it, where people are talking about value addition to our issues. The challenge that is there is finding the capital. Where are we going to get cheap capital? Capital that comes without stringent conditions, that is going to help us transform this country. So we are coming up with a financial innovation, which we are calling the capital economic zone, that will help us mobilize some resources to deploy in these sectors. So we want to make sure that we begin to add value to whatever we produce in this country. If we are talking about maize, country just export mealie meal instead of exporting maize. Maybe maize we can reduce the quantities for those maybe want to make gag and the likes, but at least let's export something that is processed. So this can only happen if we also invest in the manufacturing sector. So that's what we intend to do for the agriculture sector.
So, I mean, those are forex earners sectors that we've talked about, but there is always one sector that has remained a potential forex earner. Political parties that have formed government prior to forming government have spoken highly on how they intend to harness this potential.
Tourism. So tourism, if you talk about the National Engineering and Construction Corporation, what we intend to do is, of course, in the Northern Circuit, there are a lot of tourism sites, but people can't invest there because the road network is bad. So we need, first of all, to open these areas to good road network. That's when people are going to invest. And this is how we intend to invest in the tourism sector. First of all, you can talk about all these good things, but first of all, you need to open these places so that people can go and build hotels and lodges there. Once they build these things, then they'll be easily accessible. Somebody was telling me they went to one of the falls in Northern Province. They went there, they couldn't sleep there, they had to go back. So you see how bad it is, how tedious it is to go and do a sightseeing there of some of these natural wonders that we have, but there's nothing to help you stay there. So we need to open these. Once we have got these access roads, when we talk about this National Engineering Corporation, one of its mandates is, of course, to create road network across the country for agriculture. Because if we have to really work on agriculture, we need the good road network. We need roads that go even in the rural areas to open them up for good distribution. So when we talk about tourism, we have to make sure that we open these sites into good road network so that people can come and invest in there. There's a need for investment at this particular time. And also maybe just look at how we can improve our tourism sector. We've seen countries that rely on tourism. Why can't we do? And Zambia is blessed with a lot of these natural wonders. I think that we can make a lot of money from. But the focus is there's too much politicking in this country. Even after elections are done, people continue to talk to politics. People continue to do mingalato. They never cease and now concentrate on development. That's something that also takes us backwards.
This is the Thursday edition of the Burning Issue, and my guest today is Mr. Ackim Antony Njobvu. He is the president of Democratic Union Party, and of course, soon I will be giving you, our listener, an opportunity to call in and interact with our guest. And also remember that we are live on Katete FM on 103.3 in the Eastern Province, Spice FM in Kabwe and Central Province on 91.1, ZFM in Kapiri on 100.3 FM, Muchinga Radio on 88.1 in Chinsali, covering the rest of Muchinga Province, of course. Tuta FM is also carrying this program live on 90.7 in Mansa and covering Wapula Province, and Platinum Radio on 99.7 in Indola, covering the Copper Belt. So is iWave FM on 90.1 in Chingola. Now, before I open the phone lines, earlier on, you did hint that you had a conversation with a diplomat. Yes. And you were sharing with them something about your plans on the women. Are you able to share with us what your plans as a party in as far as the welfare of the women in this country is concerned?
Okay, so first of all, you see, I appreciate the roles that women play in this country. And I've been very lucky in all my career in the private sector. The people who have been supporting me are women in these high offices that I held. and they supported me so well. And also that there's just a grace that is on the women. So for me, I look at them as good partners in development. And for that, we want to make sure that all the provincial ministers in the country should be women, to also help in implementing what we intend to do through the Chiefdom Development Fund. So we want to make sure that all the 10 ministers in the provinces are women, besides the other roles that they will occupy in the central government. So then also the youths, also on the women, what we intend to do is for those companies, if you've got a company that is led by a woman as a managing director and a woman as a chief financial officer or finance director, we want to give them a 2% tax incentive on their profits, so that we encourage more companies also to employ women. There's something that is the women also hold. They are less corrupt than men. Although somebody challenged me that no, now they are becoming more corrupt, more corrupt. But I think they still have that grace which we can use to develop our country. So that's what we intend to do for the women. Then we also want to still give a lot of roles to the young people. So when we talk about the women and the young people, even those who are differently able are also contained within this vision that we have. So for the young people, for a long time, the young people have been used as tools in the political space. Most of the times they use them, they buy them beer, they throw them away. But this time, us now, the young people are saying, let's also be responsible enough and take up leadership roles. So apart from the other roles in central government, of course, a youth minister must be a youth. We want to give all district commissioner roles to the young people, the youths. They have to take up that responsibility. We want them to participate in development in the provinces as well. When we've got these funds that we are going to collect, I'm sure you heard how with the Chief Development Fund will be distributed. So it covers many areas. So we want a lot of people, everyone, to get involved in the affairs of those provinces' development, so that no one comes out and say, no, us, we are being left out. We will tell them, you are part of the committee there. Why didn't you front your ideas so that you are taken care of? We've given you this vision that we have, but we need people to come on board, to come and implement them. So this is what we have for the youths. So we want all district commissioner roles to be given to the young people, so that they participate in national development, not only being used as tools.
How do you rate the performance of the current government?
It's very difficult to rate the UPND. They've really struggled. I'm sure you saw an article where I said they need just to use the last year to prepare to vacate office, because I think they don't have time to change anything.
Well, 5 years is never enough, especially if you have a lot of long-term plans. To implement in 5 years,
it's enough.
Difficult.
We used to think like that before, but have you seen the young man Traore, what he's done in 2 years? It's changed quite a lot, changed the face of the country and improved the lives of his citizens. So I think it's the intention. Like I told you, first of all, what you carry should be in your heart. You should have a vision, and you have to love your people first of all, so that you are able to feel their pain, so that you provide solutions. I think that change the face, because sometimes when you get into leadership, we've heard that power corrupts. So power definitely will corrupt you, especially if your priorities are misplaced. You're not really patriotic. So for me, 5 years is enough. I've talked about an issue where we've heard our parents, our fathers say 5 years is not enough. Let's increase it to 7 years. But a young man is demonstrating that actually 5 years is more than enough. If 2 to 3 years is able to change something in this country, I'm sure if he doesn't go on further, somebody can come and continue. So we have that evidence that 5 years is enough. What is not enough is maybe your intentions. If they are not pure, then you will not be able to achieve what you want to achieve. If we talk about long-term strategic plans, we need to, when we want to do something. If you put me in government next year, do you think you will give me 2 years or 5 years to attend to the issue of the cost of living? I'm sure you'd want to make sure that within a short time, maybe 3 months, 6 months, the price of mini meal should be able to reduce. At least there should be an improvement. So we need to have strategies, things that are immediate, short-term, and long-term. So you can't just implement everything long-term. You can't say everything that I have is to be achieved in 2030. Then I think you're not the right person.
But you can't say they have struggled when they haven't struggled with, for example, free education.
So let me talk about the things that I appreciate them for, which I've applauded them for.
Yeah.
So first of all, I've liked the fact that they have reduced cadreism. This, I think we can't take it away from them. They have really done well in that area. So that's a good thing. I think I applaud them for that. We talk about free education. Free education is very good for the country. if we even can look at it in the longer term to extend it to university, that would be a very good thing. So depending on how we are going to collect resources and be able to turn around resources, we must make sure that we extend the free education to universities. Because at the time, most people that we have supported before as individuals find that they are asking for college fees. So we need to extend that further. But the challenge right now we have is that it hasn't yielded the results that we wanted. It has created more confusion, in fact. If you might also want to know that certain teachers have even started removing their children from government schools, taking them to private school. You are teaching in a public school, you take your children to a private school. You see the chaos that it's creating because the environment is no longer stress-free or good environment for children to learn in. 100 children in one class. So that's the challenge that is there. Maybe we rushed the process without looking into the other issues like infrastructure. Do we have enough infrastructure? Do we have enough teachers? So these are the challenges that we have with free education, but we need to work or improve on it. Then also talking about the increase in CDF, that's a very good thing. It's a very good thing. If we were able to collect our resources and use them nicely, if we are able to give the full amount, because not all constituencies are receiving that 36 million. The government is still struggling to give the constituencies that 6 million. And also, I must be quick to mention that some months back, I'm sure you heard the Minister of Finance say a lot of people be arrested because of CDF. There's a lot of bad administration within. I'm sure even Zeke also raised the same concern that you are giving people money who do not know how to manage that money. People are not ready. Why didn't you train these people? So it's a good thing, but again, it has found it in the similar situation like free education. So these are the issues that we say, well done, UPND. But ultimately, when we want to rate their performance, I want to just look at the basic issues and the part of the promises that they made.
So you don't agree that they have achieved 90%?
So when we talk about the issues, we need to look at the things that affect everyone. So when we talk about load shedding, it affects everyone. At the time they took power, we had only 4 hours of load shedding. If you recall, that was the maximum hours of load shedding. But where are we today? More than 18 hours. Others are even 3 days, 5 days without power. So that one, I think it's a very, very big problem for the UPND. Then we're talking of high levels of unemployment. You saw what happened in Mfumbwe. That's just a short of exactly how bad the situation is. There's a lot of high unemployment. There's higher unemployment in this country. So that's a thing that they haven't really addressed. Then we talk about also the issue of cost of living. When we talk about millimil at the time they took over, it was around 120 a bag. But where are we now? It has 3 times increased the price of millimil. We talk about the price of fuel. It's also high. So we're talking about these things that affect everyone, where everyone will feel the impact. When we moved from last year into this year, talking about the cost of doing business, most of the levies and these licenses that we get as businesses, they doubled. You see, so it's a challenge. It's not only affecting individuals; it's also affecting businesses. Now imagine the business are also being impacted by the load shedding, and also impacted by the cost of doing business. Why should these licensing authorities be increasing the cost when we are in this situation where these companies also expect a relief? So these are some of the challenges that we're talking about. We're also talking about the exchange rate. We are not in a good position. We are an import-oriented country, which means the exchange rate really has to be managed very well. So, and some of these things, the sad thing is that the president made a lot of promises at that time we were in opposition, and he gave a lot of assurance. And people usually they remember these assurances, and most of them voted based on those assurances. And that's where the frustration of the Zambians is coming from. It is from the promises that he made, not that maybe what was expected of them, but based on the promises that they made. So if you have to them really, they've struggled quite a lot in terms of looking at these basic issues. We call them basic because they affect everyone, and we need them on a daily basis. So when we talk about 90%, that's misplaced. Yes.
Interesting, Mr. Ackim Antony Njobvu. He is president of the Democratic Union Party. Now, politically, before I get the phone lines, politically, we seem to have a movement of youth that have awakened.
Yes.
And yet divided.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm saying so, because most of the youths that I'm seeing, yourselves are from the political party. I know another Democratic Party that has formed a political party. Andy Ford Mayele is another youth that has his own party. Now we're hearing of the Ichaba Iche coming up.
Yes.
These are youths. You are in the same age group,
Yeah.
but you don't seem like you can come together and decide what should be the way forward for the youth.
Yeah.
Don't you see a threat of vote split come next year?
Yes, yes. First, before I even answer that, I also want to talk about, okay, you're talking about the performance of the UPND. Do you also realize that the spirituality of the country has been compromised this time around?
How?
If you look at issues like, if we talk about the burial of the former president, there, I think that have to do with us having to forgive each other and reconcile. And so we had that incident where we've seen any religious groups like the Freemasons coming out in the open now. But we are aware they've been there before, but now they've got this liberty to come out. So the spirituality of this country has also been compromised. That it also speaks to the development and the well-being of its people. So we also need to work to make sure that such areas are attended to as a country. Then responding to your question about split, yes, there's that possibility. But you see, the challenge that is there is that when you engage some of the youths, you ask them to say, what plan do you have for the country? What plan do you have for the area where you want to be a leader? They'll just tell you, oh, it's time for the youths. It's a time for the youths to lead. So for me, I'm taken aback to say, it's just because it's time for the youth. Tell me your vision, tell me your plan. They don't have the plans. So it becomes difficult sometimes to say, okay, let's work together. And you see, sometimes the people would want to have certain roles without knowing what they want to give to the people. So if we want to work together, you have to tell me your plans, tell me your vision. That's what I've been saying. Even the issue of alliances. If we have to be in an alliance, let's have shared ideologies. Let's have a common vision to say this is what we want for this country. Then we come together and work together. But in the absence of having a common vision, shared ideologies, it becomes difficult. So some youths, yes, they have just reason to make noise that it's time for the youths because they have heard others saying it's time for the youth. We ask them, what plans do you have? They have nothing. What is the vision do you have? Nothing. So do you think Democratic Union, which has got its plan and the vision for the country, should just bring everyone together and say, okay, now this is the time? First of all, I think they needed to put themselves together and say, this is the plan that we have. You have to entice me for me to say, okay, now I'm going to work with you because you've got a good vision. Let's work together and see how we can adjust. But in the absence of of that vision of any good plan for the community that you want to live, the country that you want to lead, it's a bit difficult.
There's also trust issues that Zambians seem to be having with regards your political history.
Yes.
You know, look, we would better be placed if we have a leader who says they've been a councillor, a member of parliament before, and so on and so forth. They probably did say the same around the current president, that you've not been in public office, but you've never been a councillor, you've never, and others will say, well, the struggles that you have just alluded to, would probably, others would say, well, this could be the effects of not having one that has that part.
It's a very interesting conversation.
Right.
For me, I don't believe. You see, the presidency is a very different office or platform. Imagine you're looking at an MP just because somebody has an MP, you want to give them to be the president. They don't have a vision. We've got in this same government, we've got others who have been in other success in previous governments, 20 years, 30 years. What have they contributed? Nothing. So for me, a president is a very unique office of a man who has a vision. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be a councillor for you to come and be what? What is it that you are going to use? What is it, just drilling boreholes and what? Is it that the country wants more boreholes or what? What is it that you want? If you look at the assignments that the MPs do, some of them, most of the time when they are in their constituencies, they have run away. So what experience are you talking about? Are you talking about parliamentary etiquette or what is it that you want them to use? I'll give you examples. Somebody asked me the same question. I said, okay, have you noticed that those who've been there, some of them have even died on the seat? They're already drained when they reach that stage. But I'll also give you examples. I've given you the example of Traude. How has he managed to change all these things? He wasn't a councillor. He wasn't anything. He's got that vision. When we talk about the FTJ, was he a minister? Was he a councillor? No, he wasn't. When we talk about KK, was he all these things? He wasn't. So it's about the vision that you have and the love that you have for the country. I've given you the vision of the Democratic Union. Do you think I'm the one who's going to implement this? We've got technocrats in the government. We've got people who've been there. That's why you've seen the certain sectors saying, let's make sure that maybe the roles of permanent secretary are given to technocrats, those who understand the ministries and the system, so that they're able to implement certain government policies. So these are the things that we need to look at. Doesn't mean necessarily that somebody who's got experience, then they're able to come and do better. No, we've got others who perfected corruption because they have been in government for a long time. So do you want somebody who has perfected corruption to come and lead you, or you want somebody with a new vision? For me, I would love that that we as we form government as Democratic Union, I would even love if HH can give me his children. We talk about the former president. If you can have a children, we form a new movement that is going to transform this country. This country needs a radical leadership change. It needs a new touch. Besides just needing healing in this country, we need a radical leadership change. The old system has to cease now, and we get into a new system. And the new system cannot come from the old people. No, it can't. You are deceiving yourselves as Zambians. If you are saying, let's get people with experience and everything, you are not ready for development. You are not ready for transformation, because you still want to continue in this state with the status quo. So if you really want something new, if you look at China's development, where did China's development come from? It came from the innovation that was created by the young people. They brought about that innovation. And the good thing is that their president is also an engineer. I'm a flight engineer. So we've got this aspect within us, which we are able to harness different ideas and be able to roll them out. We are more practical than theoretical. We are not more practical than theoretical. I know the UPND government is a theoretical government and more concerned with statistics. Today, they will tell you this thing has improved here and there, but you can't feel it in your pocket. So we need people who are able to ensure that there's actual implementation of whatever they say. So there's need for that radical leadership change in this country. And it cannot come from the old. No, it needs to come from the new. People who are new. Yeah. Otherwise, you just continue perfecting corruption. If you look at the corruption fight, you can't say that corruption fight has improved under UPND. It has worsened. It has become smarter. It has been improved. You see? So these are the issues that we need to fight against as Zambians. There comes a time in life where you say, enough is enough. You cut everything and start something new. And I believe this is the time that we need to start something new. And the new thing will be better started with us, the young people, under the Democratic Union.
I know you've made reference to Ibrahim Traore several times.
Yeah.
He is a military man.
Yeah.
And I know that he is not just democratic, but he is using democratic dictatorship.
So,
do you believe it works? Do you believe that democratic dictatorship works? Or would work for Zambia?
Not really dictatorship. Me, I call it patriotism. I don't call it dictatorship, where you want things to move for the benefit of your citizens.
Yeah, but you gotta be hard at some point.
Yes.
So you have to bring in a bit of some dictatorship.
Yes,
you have to dictate what you want done.
For me, I'm a man who comes from a background of military without discipline. I believe it's just what I should call discipline and patriotism. If you look at even countries that are doing well, a country like Rwanda, coming from a background where they had genocide, but they are doing better today more than Zambia. They're even able to make their own phones, make their own jobs. All these things, these that we...
Led by a man with a military background.
Yes.
And dictated in what he needed to be dictated on.
Yes, it needs to be dictated, but I don't call that a dictation. I call it discipline. We need a certain discipline within ourselves to achieve certain things. We say, if this is what we want to achieve, we have to achieve it. But that has to be...
You military people, you were disciplined to run away from the fact that you do implement dictatorship.
It's not dictatorship. Zambia is a democracy, and will continue being a democracy for the foreseeable future. I know there have been issues like cybersecurity, which have certain clauses which have tried to steer away the freedom of the people. We must ride on this same democracy, but bring in a lot of discipline and a lot more of love for our country. Because you see, I look at certain leaders, it's betrayal when you come into leadership. You go and hide your money outside the country. It starts helping other countries to develop. Your own country is wallowing in poverty. That is lack of patriotism and lack of discipline within a man. sometimes I tend to ask you, are there still men in this country, in this Zambia, who can do the right thing? So let's rise up as the people who love this country. Yes, there's that aspect of discipline that needs to come in at one point where we say, this is what we want to achieve, where we all agree as a Zambian to say, guys, we have been stored for a long time in this place. We need to make progress. If you look at Tanzania now, they've got speed trains, they're making their own planes. Me as a flight engineer, I'm even upset to say, how come this country can't produce anything sensible that we can be proud of in the international community? But our friends Tanzania are making things. Some of these countries don't have enough resources like we have here. The other time we're talking about Sujilite, we sent people to protect Sujilite. The next thing we hear the vice president in parliament that Sujilite has been depleted. Who depleted it? So you can see the dishonest with our leaders. So we need people who love, because you Zachariah, if you love the country, me as Ackim, if I love this country, I can't do such a thing where you steal from your own country and go and hide your resources outside the country. How are you going to develop? So these are the issues that we need to look at. If we're talking about, there has to be discipline from the leaders. There's this tongue adage which says, ngombe, what is this? It says, ngombe able to inwamen. It talks about a first cow that goes to the river it will drink clean water. So when it drinks clean water, I look at it as leaders in government. They have to demonstrate a certain discipline. They have to demonstrate a certain love for the country. If we talk about the issue of load shedding, it's also one of the challenges that we have, the love for the country. We talk about the mining sector, the love for the country. We heard the president saying he used to have meetings in the toilets at the airport. So all these are issues. What were you discussing when you were meeting with those people? We're trying to sell our resources. What is it? Can you even elaborate further what those meetings were all about? So, but what we need to do as citizens in this country is to love our country, first of all. When you love your country, you'll be able to do things that promote the well-being of your people. The other time, the American ambassador, when he visited State House, I'm sure you heard what he said. He told the president to say, you have failed to use your resources to improve the living standards of your people. You have failed to attract U.S. investment. The new people are saying they have achieved 90%. Which 90%?
This is the Thursday edition. It's time for us, Thursday edition of the Burning Issue. It's time for us to take your phone calls now. And our guest is Mr. Ackim Antony Njobvu. He is president of the Democratic Union Party. And we've discussed quite a number of issues. And let me, at this point, give you, our listener, an opportunity to call in. Let's take the first call. Good morning.
Zach.
Yes, good morning to you. Thank you for calling. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Elvis. I'm calling the Osaka.
Elvis, thank you for calling. Please use your minute and have your say.
Yes. The president Mwabukasha.
Ashuka fewe na gatisho Elvis Mulishan.
Tuwabuka mwini. Na mwishiza ngamuri mwa opposition mulalanda bwino sana. Mure paranya Zambia kuli Burkina Faso. These are two different countries. You don't even mwabia ko kumona abantu weshe bali kada ku Burkina Faso efo mure ndoko bati the things. Have you been there to see if the people today are eating 5 times a day? There's no one who is suffering there. Because for me, this is what it means when you say, see how he has changed the country. It's like there's no one who is suffering there. Everyone is enjoying. So go there and we have full-time information. Yes, it might improve. Is that young dictatorship area? Things which are supposed to go through certain channels. You have to make sure that you money. I was there in Kansanshi when the president was saying those words you are saying that we were meeting in the toilets. I was there. I was listening. What he meant was that it was very difficult as an opposition to have a talk and a discussion with an investor in this country because he was one of the most abused persons in this country. So if he could meet someone from the mines, he was going to be persecuted or maybe arrested. That's why he went to meet these people and they assure them that their investment will be safe and free when he comes into government. He said they met them so that they could strategize, not working against the government. No. If you see the expansion of that mine today, which will prolong the life of Kansanshi to 20 to 25 years today. If you see it, myself, I saw it. There is a huge investment there. These people are investing more than 1.2 billion. And they are employing about...
Please wind up, Mr.
Yes, I'm winding up.
Yeah.
And they are employing about 1,500 people. That's not a question for the UPND. So some of these things, the free education and these other things, they did not come by accident. It's because of the good policies of the president and the UPND.
Thank you.
So we are going to make sure that this president wins 2026 to complete what he started.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your contribution. We will take some more on 0955221515. That's the number you're calling us on. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Zach.
Thank you very much for calling. Your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Chimpinde calling from within Lusaka.
Chimpinde from within Lusaka. Please go ahead, sir.
Yes, good morning, President Njobvu.
Good morning, Mr. Chimpinde. How are you?
Fine, thank you. First of all, I want to commend you for offering yourself for national leadership so that there is consistency in our national leadership where we have no challenge who to choose next to become president. Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, and then one thing I want to say is you talked about I think I want to say that me personally, I want a president who has got a military background. It is true when you say there is a difference between dictatorship and discipline. And the reason why I would favor a person who has got military background is because Zambia and Africa for us to tackle the issues that are affecting us, even at individual level, at family level, at community level, even at national level. Any community or society or individual who lacks discipline, it doesn't matter the resources that they have, they will look like they have no resources. That is a very important component in human development, discipline. So personally, I want to tell you that we can only talk about it more about your military background, because this is an important component that will help India develop. Then number two, you talked about innovation. I want to commend you for bringing up that idea. One of the we are not developing as the Zambians and Africans, we don't follow up on innovative ideas. And I wonder if we even understand the reason why they gave us that innovative capabilities. These European countries, Western countries that we are admiring today, even China, you look at their genesis of development, it is through ideas. But us, we are good at killing ideas. And I pray that people like you, President, as you come in, you secure people that have got ideas, especially developmental ideas and innovative ideas. And then the number 3 thing I want to...
Unfortunately, your minute is up, but very brief on your third, please.
Okay, thank you very much. And okay, I want to give other people a chance. And the President Njobvu, I want to let you know that to be the next president in future, the next 2026, that mark my way to be the next president. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chimpinde, for your contribution and for that phone call. And also, let me take the next one. Let me take the next call. Then I can give you. Well, I seem to have lost it, but then call us back 0955. Let's see if we can pick this one. 0955 221515. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very fine, Brother Zach. My name is Kangwa. I'm calling from within Lusaka.
Did you say Kangwa? Did you say Kangwa?
Yes.
Kangwa.
Yes.
From within Lusaka. Please go ahead, Mr. Kangwa.
I'm correcting the impression by all these opposition parties that you can build a nuclear facility within your term limit in Zambia. It's impossible. South Africa has abandoned it because they failed to negotiate with the Russians. The Russians, it's actually imperialism. They don't hand over those facilities. They build themselves and manage them. So if he is against whites running mines in Zambia, how is it that you accept the Russians to build the nuclear facility and run them in the country? So let's just have educative ideas. Since Bipiri said there is a nuclear plants, everyone has gone nuclear. There is no nuclear in Zambia. It can't happen now. And then lastly, he talked about the cost. The cost is not less than the solar plant. The cost of building a nuclear is between $2 million to $13 million. Solar plant is 1 million. So just come with prepared. You don't lie. Don't impress. You don't know these things. You are just lying. Jacob Zuma was discouraged to build the nuclear plants because it was going to take 8 years and the cost was in billions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your call, Mr. Kangwa. And yeah, I'll let you react. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So he's right. The cost of nuclear is not cheap. And then, like, I'm sure we all agreed when we were talking
yes,
that it's not a short-term project, it's a long-term project. But of course, it's clean energy.
But you did mention that it's cheaper.
Yes.
Probably
cheaper, not cheaper the cost of building, cheaper the cost to the consumer.
Okay.
Yes, cheaper to the cost of the consumer. It's cheaper. Nuclear energy is cheaper than hydro to the consumer, not construction. Construction is very expensive.
Right.
And I didn't say that I'm against the whites running the mine. What I said is we need us Zambians. You see, the responsibility to build and develop this country lies with us, not the white man. When foreign investors come in this country, they are coming to do business. That's one thing that we have to appreciate. Foreign investors have got their own part to play, and we've got our own part to play. National development is our own responsibility. Even as we invite these people, let's be aware that national development is our own responsibility to build and develop this country. The foreign investor is coming to make a profit. When he makes a profit, he takes back that money and he commits no offense. If I went outside the country and did business, if I make a profit, I'll bring back that profit to Zambia, because most likely I could have gotten the capital here. My family is here. So the money has to come back here. So have you seen that process? So when we rely so much on foreign direct investment, that means our development journey will be very long. We need to get involved as Zambians. If Zachariah and Ackim participate in the mining activities of this country, most likely whatever we sell from the mining houses, the money will come back here. When it comes back here, it is going to be for other entrepreneurs who are coming to borrow that money, and then the country continues to develop. I didn't say that I'm against white people running the mines or what. And one of the things that I'm looking at as an individual, if we get to a stage where we need to run these mines and we can't run them ourselves. I know others have said we can't run, but I'm confident we can run them. We can get into contract mining, where we hire people who have the experience in mining. They do mining. We agree on the profits. I think that's a better way. So I didn't say I'm against white people running the mine or against any foreign direct investment, but we all have our policies. But we have to make sure that these means of production get into the hands of the locals so that the capital is available. We have had this cry to say when they sell their minerals, the money remains outside. They just bring little monies for operations here. But if you, Mr. Banda, you own a mine, when that you sell your minerals, the money will come into Zambia. It will create that capital for other SMEs and entrepreneurs to borrow from. So that's what I said. So when you talk about nuclear, I didn't say nuclear is cheap to construct. I know, I'm an engineer. It takes a lot of time. That's why I said long term. Long term, the cost is also huge, but the cost to the consumer is cheaper than that of hydro. It's a cheaper source of energy. Then yes, there are all those safety concerns and issues like that go with nuclear, but we don't want to talk about those details. In case you're an engineer, you can give me a call. We can talk about it later. Then responding to Mr. Chimpinde, thank you so much for those kind words. Indeed, I think first of all, we have to talk about discipline and patriotism for us to see that development. And also we have to embrace innovation. I didn't talk about the issue of the National Engineering and the Construction Corporation. We're also looking at setting up other offices. When we talk about engineering, we want somebody who will be responsible for setting standards in the country. So we're going to set up the office of the Engineer General so that we have somebody who is going to help us with setting up standards. I'm sure you've seen a lot of roads that are built within few months. The road is eaten away. I had an experience of corruption some time back during MMD. I went to Chipata, they are done township roads. Within 2-3 months, when I went back, the tower was gone. That was the first time I knew what corruption is, that it's very bad after I saw that. So these are the issues. Then we talk about innovation. We really have to embrace innovation. How are we going to improve our lives in the absence of innovation? So let's use this opportunity, and it largely lies with the young people, the issue of innovation. It is the young people who bring about innovative ideas. Then if I respond to Mr. Elvis, the expansion of FQM, yes, some of those jobs that you're talking about are just temporary jobs, so which are not long-term jobs. Then talking about the issue in the toilet in Johannesburg, you're in another country. Why are you why are you hiding in the toilet? It's because you don't want to be seen here. That's why you're going in the toilet. That's why you're going into another country. And we have information that certain taxes that were supposed to be paid by FQM after the audit were waived off. Why were they waived off? We know they are receiving a lot of benefits. Why were they receiving a lot of benefits? We didn't understand, but now we have understood, because they used to have meetings in those toilets. It's not about hiding the discussions, no. It was about private issues on how are we going to benefit if we support you. Those are the discussions that were being had. Don't twist things. We are not Tumbutu that we don't understand things. We understand these things when something is wrong. So talking about Burkina Faso, have you been to Burkina Faso yourself? No. But you see, this gentleman, you know how Burkina Faso used to operate. When they mine their resources, their money used to remain in France. Then Mulemba Kacheki, Banda, Tifuna Gulako Mankwala, Tipatumiziren Koni, they would send. Have you seen how much France is upset by Burkina Faso gaining that independence? So it speaks a lot of volumes. We know there are processing plants that have been set up by Traore. We've heard even the president in Botswana reference that. The future is for the young people. Senegal has a young president. Botswana has a not very young, but young president. So we need to learn a lot from these countries that are having young people, because they bring a certain touch of leadership that is not there with our elders. Our parents have contributed, they have done all they could do, and we thank them, we appreciate them, but we are saying we need that radical change. We need to get into another gear in terms of development, in terms of us harnessing what we have. They have contributed their part. We don't blame them, we appreciate them. And I would love a situation where, as being Democratic Union, we create that platform where we bring these two fighting camps together and say, guys, you need to support us now. Your time is done. Support Democratic Union. I'm sure you heard in one of my postings, if you didn't see it, where I say, if PF was to win today, next year, there'll be now weeping and gnashing of teeth in the camp of UPND because of the things that they have done to their opponents. So we don't want the fighting, the tussle to continue after 2026. No, we want calmness, we want unity, we want a platform where we are going to develop as a country. Moreover, this country needs healing. So if this camp went back in, they'll start persecuting the other ones. So for me, I do not want to see anyone persecuted in UPND. I do not want anyone persecuted in PF. I want a platform where we are going to work together going forward as Zambia. That's why we are saying we need now to get into Democratic Union, create a good platform, march forward and develop this country. We can't continue fighting. For how long? For how long? I explained to you that it's just because of lack of forgiveness and reconciliation. That's why we've delayed to bury our sixth president. God is still giving us such opportunities. That's why we haven't buried. But it seems for our leaders to come together and reconcile is very difficult. That's a huge challenge. So we need to embrace each other and march forward. So Burkina Faso has done great for itself. That's why France, even today, France is still looking for an opportunity to get rid of Traore. But God forbid, I pray that will never happen. Then he says, when we are in opposition, we say good things. And what I've told you before, it's difficult for somebody who doesn't have a vision in his heart and his mind to implement what they say. If you give me a vision that is written, most likely I will lose it on the way. I will lose it when I'm going to celebrate the inauguration. I will lose it in one way or the other. When I begin to see the money, I'll lose it. So I think for me, I don't think I can lose that vision that I have, not because of money or what, because I think I had an opportunity to have money before and I gave it up where I came into politics. I don't think there's anything that can confuse me. In the background, there's another aspect of me which I cannot share, but I've passed through a lot of battles that have molded me in the spiritual realm to be what I am today. So I believe I'm good enough and ready enough. Somebody was even asking to say, but don't you think you need a lot of time to say, no, it doesn't take a lot of time. Yes, others took 23 years to be where we are because God was still building their character and molding them to be a vessel ready for leadership. But I don't think I need that time. I've been built already where I'm coming from. And when I'm here, I'm a person, I think, that is ready to take up leadership. So we don't change when we get into government. The true us is just revealed. And the challenge we have is there are certain leaders who just have this vision written for them. You talked about the youth. I told you I asked some youths to say, what's your vision? What's your plan? He says, "Nishtafia ma youth ya kushita lead." So nishtafia ma youth kushita lead. That means you don't have a plan, not so. Then you are given that opportunity. You want to do anything. Ukalaenda ukafie, doing this, trying this. But if you've got a plan, at least you try to implement the plan that is there. If your plan fails, you go back to the Zambians. Zambians, we've got a problem here. We wanted to do this, but we found this snag. So we are changing the course. The Zambians who appreciate said, okay, at least you're an honest leader. You consult us. One of the issues that the UPND had is the lack of consultation with its citizens, engaging the citizens. We've seen 3 bills now falling off. So that means it's a clear message to the UPND that the people of Zambia have not appreciated your governance approach. You need to rethink. So I know they comfort themselves. They say there's no opposition, but they are not adding up a lot of signals. One of them is the 3 bills that have been rejected. The Zambians are saying, no, we are not happy with your governance style. Everything that you want to do is manipulative. So we are not going to continue like this. So this is a clear message to them that they need to be wary. And the best advice is for them just to prepare to vacate office so that others come in and help the country. It's not that maybe the Zambians are too bitter with them. They're saying, no, what you had hasn't worked. Your promise doesn't work. We want to try other people. Want to start.
You've consistently made reference to your Christianity. It's important that we trace your background in as far as what is your Christian background?
I'm a Catholic, a devout Catholic. Yes.
Okay.
I'm a strong Catholic. I'm also charismatic. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, we'll take some more calls on 0955221515. Good morning.
Jackie, good morning.
Morning to you. Thank you for calling. You've got a minute. Please share your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm Mr. Douglas Nguni from Chingola.
From Chingola, Mr. Nguni. Yes.
Hi, Mr. Njobvu.
Na ukaruwemi. Njobvu ni mwasoja. Ni mwasoja.
Ni retired.
And how old are you?
I'm 45.
We are 45.
Yes.
To start with, you are not a youth. A youth is below 35 years. Fast forward, you are already on top. Here in Chingola, as I'm speaking to you, we've got 2 problems. One of the illegal miners who are Zambians, the youth, and the farmers. The farmers, they cultivated their maize. I haven't heard you talking about farmers. Farmers cultivated. They don't have anywhere to sell their maize. Wambera, and of Wambera.
Yes. Yeah.
The government is daring to buy the maize from the farmers. But I haven't heard you of any comment on that. And we've got the issue of illegal miners. Illegal miners are Zambians. Well, you know what surprises me? Whatever is cheap, you want to give it to Zambians. Free education, because it's cheap. Your children, you and in the government school, I can answer for you. No. Actually, they doesn't have any child going to free education. Minister, one assigned a free education. Why do you want to give them free cheap things? You cannot say the European government has done on free, poor, cheap quality. As you call that good free education. I'm very surprised. How can you make a good president when you're supporting free, poor, quality education? And illegal miners, they are Zambians. They've got free things from God. You want to grab them. If you could have 1 to 10, you will worker, and you want to call yourself a leader. If you could have worker, everybody have 10. What a shame. Moya
you.
soda.
Thank you.
Mulabire bwino.
Yes,
Zikomo.
Wangoni. Thank you for calling all the way from Chingola. We appreciate that. And listening to us through iWave FM on 90.1 in Chingola. Let's take some more calls. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Yes, please. Good morning. Welcome to the program. Your name, Oswald, is it?
Yeah, Uncle Zach Oswald.
Yes, please, Oswald. Go ahead.
Vanjo kumwakabanje.
Nakapuna also mwakabanje.
Awanjo kutuka mkamba mushe maningi ndara. Mkamba mushe maningi. Lukusana pre-singers ya wani wakudia. Awena watizina MPF wanakita wanaenda kuipendi. Sasa kuzana vanjo potoka studio museko kanamba mdara mkamba mushe maningi. Ero kutelo kwa kamba vanjo. Ibata vota mu 2026. Munga mkani maraiki. Muza sana bwanya vanjo. Kudawene kama maraiki ya vuta. So kuna watu kuna maraiki ya bwa 1928. Maana mksedo zasa bwanya njo. Ero kafuza pressing atakula tuwose vikemo. Maraiki ba 2019 wazangu zake. Ntoje aita. Mutenda bwanya na kutasha vile vota. So kanamba njo poenda puti hapo japo namba ziko msezani.
Thank you very much, Oswald, for your contribution. Let me take another one on 0955221515. Good morning.
Yeah, Kabanje, friends Abanje.
Sevenza bwino kaya imwe.
No, ife tiamika mulungu atyo shawanzatu pali mumochari judgment day kamayo Stumbeko kuno kwa Kanyama.
Yes, Stumbeko, pitirizani.
Ba Njobvu muli bwanje.
Ni bwino Stumbeko muli bwanje.
No, ife tiamika mulungu atyo sha. Inanikumbuka wakazi banga ba chieftainess commercial nuclear mulandi mwabo banaikana sinizi bakapena bachifu banuko bazaivomera mwenze mu PF pamene benze banakana bazaki nikumbuka ndimwe wa journalist munga isokolo leyo nkani banakana benzofuna nuclear energy benzofuna ipereka mulandi ya chieftainess commercial nakanira naine sinina ifune ninawasapota na wakazi banga mwachita cha bwino ni danger kuma citizen bakuchongwe CDF mubwere pashuka muzapeza upstairs CDF kansela ni chelo isebenza itumbi cha lungu dekani chinkare chi skeleton bati nepane kanizi bakutichiza bwera bafuna sibafuna ziko mu bazaki mulungu azimisunga
manje upstairs amene mtibuza yo ni abandani
ni school free education bazaki mubwere nzapereka hii
zikoma
tengani namba
naona mwanga ni abakansela kai mwe mwakamba upstairs then mwakamba na bakansela zina natika pena ndiye banatenga CDF bamanga
ni CDF boss isebenza
okay chabu
tekani bene kamchongo bazisunga tijandalama balangize munga CDF sisebenza batife isebenzesa
zikoma ba kama yoyo taonga zikoma right. Let me let you respond or react because obviously Mr. Nguni, Oswald, and Kamayoyo have asked. It's important that you quickly respond. Then we take another set of calls.
Okay, thank you so much. So, in terms of the nuclear being rejected, I'm not aware about that. But if that's the case, I'm sure we have got 10 provinces where we can.
I think there's very little knowledge around
very little knowledge, and what is that? There's something that needs to be after it has worked the uranium disposal. Yes. So that's what is very dangerous, and usually what they do most of the time dig like a borehole very deep, maybe 200 meters. That's where you dispose it of. Of course, there's that radiation. But you know, the risk, you are only scared about this risk. We've got most of the issues around this god that we're talking about. You know that others are using mercury to clean that. and
Yes.
it's polluting rivers.
Yeah.
So you want to focus only on this, ignoring other threats that are there. Mining uranium, there's also uranium being mined in Western Province. How well is it being mined? So these are the issues. So don't just focus on this because you've heard people talk about it when you don't have sufficient knowledge. The danger is in disposing the nuclear particles. So how they dispose it, there's always a better way of. That's why these other countries are these people to say this is what is dangerous and this is how we dispose it off. Yes. Then talking about CDF, we've all agreed that CDF is a game changer, except that the country doesn't have enough resources to bring about good development. And then we also talk about mismanagement under CDF. Already here in Lusaka, you heard the Lusaka City Council some time back said they gave, I don't know what number of beneficiaries who cannot be traced. So these are the issues that we talk about, but we didn't condemn CDF. CDF is okay. Then we talk about free education. Free education is okay. The only thing we need to work on it to improve it. Otherwise, it's very important. That's why I said we need to find resources to make sure we extend it to university. Then I want to comment about the skeleton, what you said about ECO. I think that is bad language, which I think is not acceptable. We still need to give our former president a dignified burial for whatever contribution he gave to this country. So then responding to Oswald, thank you so much for the kind words. Then in terms of Malaiti, what we said is, you see, we need to find a strategy. If we are talking about transforming Zambia, we need to have a lot of energy supply. And that's when I talked about the issue of natural gas power stations, and in the long term, talking about nuclear. In the short term, if you are talking about solar, yes, it's working, but it's still not alleviating the issue of load shedding at the moment. So we can use it for a shorter term, but in the longer term, it's not sustainable. So we need to find other sources that we are going to help ourselves in getting this issue resolved. For me, I also believe that, you see, if we embrace innovation, we haven't exhausted all sources of electricity generation. We need to invest a lot in research. Then we are going to find other sources. I'm a firm believer in discovering new things, like we saw with that young girl who started making fertilizer from sunflower. Isn't that good? So these are the issues that we need to talk about in terms of electricity generation. And also the other issue of electricity generation is nezinakamba also did that the president bakankala na national address konse mu country kumayaka. So which means it's also another issue of managing. What do you prioritize? Are you prioritizing the well-being of your citizen and the building of the local economy, or you just want to make profits from selling electricity? So these are the issues that we need to talk about when you talk about managing electricity. We have to look at how ZESCO is generating that electricity, who it is selling to, and what is the benefit there. So when we are faced with natural disasters, most contracts vomera to discontinue those contracts based on force majeure. So let's also factor in the issue of management. How are we going to manage these things? We know there are times where ZESCO is making a loss, but other companies are making a profit. So those are the things that we need to talk about. There was you remember that time we had the issue of petroleum supply to this country. When we talked about open access, I think it also started from the time I think people started saying Zambians are buying fuel from Malawi at cheaper kwacha, at 17 kwacha, and us here we're buying at 34 kwacha. So that's how they talked about the issue of open access. And then when the tenders were filled in, we saw that the price of fuel was supposed to reduce by half. Yes, so these are the issues that we all need to work on. And part of the oversight that will be there within the mining and the petroleum sector, we want to set up what we are calling the Zambia Institute of Mining and Petroleum here in Zambia. In the same way Zika runs, I'm looking at discipline. Like, I want to repeat this term. We need discipline. We need to love our country. We need people also working in the mining sector and the mining houses also to carry a certain type of discipline where they're able also to declare exactly what they produce from there. So we need this oversight institution that is going to make sure that it supervises the people working in the mine and also in the petroleum sector. Then we're also going to introduce another office which we're calling the Miner General. We want improvement in all sectors of our economy so that we benefit from these resources. We need responsible people in these offices. Then responding to Mr. Nguni, yes, I'm not a youth, but I'm still a young man, very fresh, very energetic, able to telling somebody to say, you're saying, are you also going to try for 23 years? I said, no. When I'm young, I've got this innovation in me. if you want to keep me for 20 years, I won't contest because nishi innovation yataba. So there reaches a time where you can't contribute positively. Unless you want to be selfish, you want to be a liar, then you not afford, you still want to serve people. I believe this political life is just a period of service and is for a short term. So it's a short term that I'm going to serve for the people of Zambia, if God willing, maybe 10 years. So it's a short term, then it ends there. So you can't continue wanting to be president even when you are 70 years or 80 years, 90 years. No, I think that is. Then talking about illegal miners, yes, these are Zambians, and we have information that these illegal miners, the ones you famously call Jerabos in Copperbelt, most of them help is where they stay. So that's why they are loved by these people. But of course, we have to make sure that we develop something. Like I said, the mining investment agents, where we build our own billionaire. We help them since they're already in mining. Why can't we build them? One thing, when I talked about the billionaires, how am I going to build these people? I want somebody with a philanthropist because they're able to help the communities. I can't just build somebody who is a sadist. Is he going to buy maize for these illegal miners? I've got this sad. But we need to perfect anything. I don't accept illegal mining where you go other mining houses land to mine. We want you to have your own where you're able to thrive, where the government is going to support you. The government cannot support you if you're encroaching on somebody's land. It will be very difficult. So we need a separate place. Then farmers is selling. I didn't have this information that they are failing to sell their maize, but the government was saying it's going to buy the maize. I know FRI is actively buying, and I'm sure the government machinery is listening to this interview. Please take it up and ensure that the maize from the farmers is bought. If you can't buy it, since you are saying you want to sell 500 metric tons, you can go ahead. Though I do not support you at selling at this particular time. But please, let's buy what people have produced so that they are sustained as well. Then you also forgot to mention the issue of water problem. There's a water problem in Chingola. I think this problem is also national. So us with the National Engineering and Construction Corporation, we are looking at water recreation in some shanty compounds. Of course, certain shanty compounds will be marked for demolition because we can't continue keeping them. They need to be demolished. We build something better from there. But water recreation is one of the responsibilities of the National Engineering and Construction Corporation to work on this. Then there's also the issue of title deeds in the Copper Belt. He didn't mention, Sisi has mentioned about these challenges. Most businesses are struggling to get capital in the Copper Belt because they haven't been given title deeds from the houses that they bought during the MMD time. I don't know how many years down the line they're still struggling. Us as Zambians, most of the time when we are doing business, we use our houses as collateral or whatever property we own to get capital when we are doing business. So the government machinery, you are listening, please attend to these people, help these people and the suppliers, and also ensure that the mining houses that invest in the country, they also give a fair share to the local citizens in supplying. The other challenge of foreign direct investment, you see, when these people come and invest here, they come with other companies who supply things to these mines. So we need to ensure that we find a way of making sure that the Zambians benefit from these investments because they also come with their own connections, and the Zambians find that ultimately they don't even benefit a lot. So sometimes that's where the frustration comes from in terms of people promoting foreign direct investment. Basita wakabwela nganabe some foreign investors balepera ama business to other companies, their fellow companies outside the country, or if they're not outside, they tell them, it's in Zambia, we still establish company, we give you business. Then the Zambian is still left like that. Sometimes even when they supply the Zambians, for them to be paid, it takes a lot of time. So we want these mining houses to be paying the Zambians on time because some of them, they borrow the money from the bank. If you don't pay them, within the 30 days, you find that the time they get the profit, they have lost the profit or they end up losing their property. So these are the issues that we need to talk about in terms of the problems in the Copper Belt. Free education, for me, I'm happy. I know he said it's not good because the HH doesn't have free children in public schools or however. I also gave the example of teachers. Teachers who are teaching in public schools, they don't have their children there because the standards have been compromised. I know the standards have been compromised, but I'm still saying it's a good thing. We need to find a way of improving on it. Part of the responsibility of this National Engineering and Construction Corporation is to develop infrastructure, and that will be one of its assignment. We need to develop a lot of infrastructure. We need to improve also the teacher-to-pupil ratio, even the compensation of our teachers. We need to make sure that they are motivated So we need that motivation within our teachers, but also including other civil servants whose benefits, some of them were taken by the UPND. We need that to be addressed as well. Yes, selfless leadership, he talks about selfless leadership. That's the only key to any national development. You need a selfless leader, leaders who offer themselves. I've been giving this example. If you look at the world, most of the times, even those rich people, famous people, when they die, we forget them. But selfless leaders, we never forget about them, the sacrifice they offer. The KKs, the Mandelas, and others who have contributed, who have provided, who have given their life selflessly to save nations or develop nations, can never be forgotten.
We're coming to the end of the program, and unfortunately, time is up. And briefly, because I've got a couple of SMSs basically having joined in a little late into this conversation, a number of them, and they are busy asking who is your guest, you know. So I'll use the 2 minutes or 3 minutes just to go back to where we started from, just to profile you a little bit and find out who Mr. Ackim Antony Njobvu is. He is obviously the president of the Democratic Union. We have heard that you are 45, you are Catholic, charismatic for that matter. But at 45, you are saying you are an ex-army officer.
Yes.
Just tell us a bit about your journey as an army officer.
Okay, so when I finished school, the first opportunity that came was to join the Air Force. In fact, I went to try. I was with my father, we were going to the village. So the Air Force were doing a national recruitment.
Okay.
So when we were going to the village, then my father said, when you come back from the village, you should come and try and join these people. So then I went and tried. That's how I was picked. Then I went for military training. I did military training for 8 months.
Not that your father was in military before?
No. My father used to be a civil servant. He used to work for previous ZRA, used to be called income tax.
Yeah,
that's why he used to work. But I grew up in Livingstone. And my ambition was never even politics. I wanted to be a fighter jet pilot. That was my ambition.
Right.
But things changed on the way. I think God made corners so that I end up here.
Right.
So I joined the Air Force. I did my military training. Then I went for my engineering training in Mumbwa. Then after I graduated.
That is within the military?
Yes, within the military, within the Air Force.
Right.
I've got a technical training school. I was the best student. I was sent to the presidential squadron of the Air Force. I was working on the presidential chopper. So that's how I grew in through the ranks to become.
When you say working on the presidential chopper, is in terms of making sure that it is in good shape?
Very safe. Yes, it's very safe for the president to fly in. So you check its serviceability, and then you sign to say that I certify that the president's plane is safe. So you see how the responsibility that I carried, the risk, also the risk that I carried. Imagine
you certify and then
say certifying the plane that it's fit for the president to fly in. It's a very huge risk and responsibility. So that's what I carried during that time. But then later on, I think dynamics changed. I said, I think this is not my...
So you pushed in an early retirement?
Yes, I pushed in my early retirement.
At what age were you at?
I was at 30. That was 30.
That's when you retired?
Yes, that's how I retired. But before then, I had started studying SCCA in a very difficult circumstances. I'm very ambitious. And when I start something, I usually make sure that I accomplish. So I'm sure God will see me through, be the president of this country. So I started that through difficult conditions and managed to finish SCCA. I graduated and became, after that, I think I asked them that I want to change the department. Then they said, no, there's no policy that allows us to demote or downgrade people. Engineering is the top class. You can't go to administration, to accounts.
Right.
So we can't do that. So that's how I went to the MESI, there's what we call the MESI there, which is about the social aspect. I was the MESI treasurer there for about 1.5 years before I retired. And on my 10th anniversary, I put in a resignation. That's how I left the Air Force. I stayed in the compound. I suffered a bit. I suffered. Then ultimately.
Did you at some point regret?
No, I didn't regret. I also gained the freedom.
Okay, I
also get freedom, but I think it's part of the learning curve.
Right.
And then until a small opportunity opened at a Cellpay, it's a mobile banking company.
That's right.
This time it's closed.
Yeah.
I was an internal auditor for 6 months. Then suddenly the lady that I joined with at Cellpay, Harriet, she went for an interview at Mayfair. So when she went at the interview for Mayfair, they said, no, we want a chartered accountant. That's how she mentioned my name to the managing director there. I've got a friend, a chartered accountant, said, call him. So that's how I went for interviews, and that's how I got the job. Then, of course, found the company in a mess that I regretted having joined.
The mess was too much.
Yes, it was too much because my predecessor actually took leave and they went, never came back.
Oh, yeah.
So then I found myself also said, should I also leave? Then I said, I went home, I prayed, then I got strength. I just told my boss that there's a lot of work to be done here. Give me extra. I need money for my supper. I need money for my fuel so that I can be tackling this. I may be sleeping in the office for some time. So that's how I managed to work on it, and the company began to build. We built the company that it got attraction from international organizations like the ILO, and other UN agencies that started doing business with it,
Right.
because we had built it so much.
Yeah.
So from there, another opportunity opened at Marsh, where I was the chief financial officer. It's also a multinational company, the world's leading insurance broking company.
Yeah.
So there, I also went there and learned quite a number of lessons. For me, I've been looking at this journey. It is just full of lessons. That's what I pick up from there. I pick up the behavior of certain people. I pick up the behavior of multinational companies. I know how they behave and really what they're up to. So when I come to this platform, I have got that idea, and I somehow know how do we work around these things if we are to really develop as a country. So from there, then that's when last year we developed this. Last year we registered this political party. Then I had to leave that. I said, okay, I have to sacrifice my good job in order to serve the people of this country.
Yeah.
Then talking about my profession, I've said I'm a flight engineer. Then also I'm a chartered accountant. I'm a fellow of SCCA. Then I'm also an economist. I've got a master's in economics. Then I'm also a chartered global investment analyst. I'm also an insurance practitioner. So I've got about 5 professional qualifications to my name. So for me, I think I'm well grounded in terms of
And
education.
family?
Yes.
And family?
I'm not yet married.
You're not yet married?
No, not yet married.
Okay.
Yeah, so not yet married.
But soon the bills?
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's about me. I feel I'm well grounded to tackle these things. I've got also the spiritual aspect of me. Which I think has passed me through different universities to prepare my character. I think my character is ready enough to be able to lead 21 million souls, which I don't look at as a simple task. For me, I believe it's a very, very huge responsibility. I also sometimes wonder when people just wake up and say, I want to be the president. I say, do you really know what you are going into? You're going to be in charge of 21 million souls. So that's a very huge responsibility and a very huge risk. That's how I look at the presidents. Yeah. So when people say, no, you have to be a councillor, you have to be what to say, they are not connected, these things. This is a different ball game. Yes. So that's about me.
Interesting. And listen, Mr. Ackim Antony Njobvu, President of Democratic Union, I can only wish you all the best, unless you have concluding remarks that you have to make in a minute.
All right. Thank you so much. So for me, it's just to appeal to those Zambians who love the country. Those who love the country to come and support the Democratic Union, those who believe in the country's potential and the promise that it holds, that indeed Zambia can become a global contributor to the global economy, and also Zambia can do well. We believe, and I ask those people to come and join us, those in the civil service, those in the corporate world, those who are in the diaspora, the youth and the women, especially the youth and women, have got good things for you. I believe this is a good vehicle for you to use to come and develop Zambia. We know, especially those in the civil service, have faced certain disappointments. Others we know certain allowances and privileges were removed. Us are committed, first of all, to generating enough revenue for the government so that it's able to give back whatever was taken from you. We want you, when you are saving, you are implementing government programs, you don't have complaints. When we're talking about improving the conditions of service for the teachers, how can you teach if somebody is complaining? So we want to improve the conditions of you people. So whether you are still in the civil service or outside, please support us as Democratic Union. We mean well. One thing that I can promise the people of Zambia is that you can trust me. There's one aspect of the Democratic Union, I think, which is quite unique. With us, if you look at our manifesto, we've made a serious undertaking that we want to be accountable to both God and man. I don't think there's any political party which has told you that they want to be accountable to God, and if you look at their manifestos. So for us, we are coming out with this integrity that we mean well for this country. It's been difficult this time around to trust politicians, but you can trust me, especially after the UPND, what they promised and how they have delivered. It is really difficult for the people of Zambia to trust politicians. But what I can appeal to the people of this country is that you can trust me. Masambaya Siana. We are different, and you can trust me. You can trust the Democratic Union. We mean well for the country. We mean well for the citizens of this country. There's no deception in me and in the Democratic Union. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ackim Antony Njobvu, for coming, and we appreciate that you made it, and we can only wish you all the best in this career path that you've taken, and especially as we head towards the general election, which I know that you are fully participating in. And we'll surely talk soon to just find out how your party is doing in terms of growth. So we sure hope that your door will be open again for the invitation.
Thank you so much. I'm open to coming back.
Thank you.
Thank
right.
you so much.
There you have it, listeners. That was our guest today, President of the Democratic Union, Mr. Ackim Antony Njobvu. And we appreciate most sincerely our partner radio stations that carried this program live on their various platforms. We'll surely be back, God willing, next week for the Tuesday and Thursday editions of the Burning Issue. From all of us, take care of yourselves, and more so,